Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, June 7th. So today we have the moon in Virgo all day. We are in the mood to kind of dive into our issues. We have a lot going on in the mental plane. Keep in mind, Virgo energy is an earth energy that is ruled over by Mercury, ruler of the mental plane. We have Mercury now direct in Taurus, Virgo's sister earth sign, and we are going low and slow. We are taking one problem at a time. We are looking to fix, looking to heal, looking for solutions to some of the issues, some of the problems that are really coming up in our face, in our heart space, in our head space. We want to clean up. We want to tie up the loose ends. We want to organize. We want to restructure. We want to get things situated. Again, with the moon in Virgo, we tend to want to exert our energy by organizing our physical realms. Again, earth energy, very focused on the physical realm. And in turn, it helps us to kind of process the thoughts that are coming up in our mental plane. And even more in turn, it helps us organize our emotions. So we also have the first quarter moon taking place here today, 16 degrees in Virgo. This is our first action point, our first move point since the new moon in Gemini. Keep in mind, the new moon in Gemini is still having us debate between the pros and cons of certain choices, certain decisions, certain paths, certain options in our lives. And most of us are figuring out what it is that we want to do, where it is that we need to go, what it is that we have to decide upon by figuring out what it is that we don't want to do, what it is we no longer want to experience, what it is that's no longer serving us. There are 10 different aspects here today. 6 of them involve the moon. Now, typically speaking, anytime that we are building towards the first quarter moon, there's a little bit of anxiety. There's a little bit of restlessness. And because this Virgo energy being ruled over by Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, has a tendency at this time, because we are in Gemini season, there's a lot going on in our headspace, creating a lot of anxiety. Why? Because we don't have control over a lot. There's not a whole lot that we can do. May I remind you, the one thing that you have control over is your thoughts. We have to work very, very diligently in order to actually have power over our thoughts, what it is that we put our energy and attention, our focus into. And in turn, we get a little bit more of a grasp on our emotions. And of course, we always have control over our actions. Again, if you didn't listen to the ascension forecast for this week, I went on a pretty interesting rant about our attention and focus and what it is that we allow to live in our headspace, what it is that we're creating by focusing in on what it is, the details, the situations, the fears, the positivity. What you choose to allow your mind to venture into is essentially the realm in which we are creating. So it's very important. This is a lesson in discipline. It's a lesson in strength in the mental muscle that we all have. The moon is going to trine Venus. Venus, of course, the goddess of love and beauty, pleasure, worth, money, in her place of power in Taurus energy. So things are going a little bit slower than we would prefer. We are trying our damnedest to stay in the present moment. That Taurus energy doesn't really want to think about the past, doesn't really want to think about the future, just wants to find the happiness, the joy, the silver linings in the circumstances that may not be favorable in the here and now. But we always have the option to choose happiness, to choose joy, even in the darkest of circumstances. Now, the moon in Virgo, Venus in Taurus is earth on earth. So we're definitely focused on trusting our 5 physical senses in order to tell us what is working for us, what is not working for us, especially when it comes to our relationships. Again, we just came out of eclipse season, had a huge impact on the relationship dynamics. I'm not even just talking about romantic relationships, how we interact with people around us, where it is that the energy exchange is illuminating for us, where it is that things are out of whack, things are out of balance. Emotionally speaking, we're having to really figure out what it is that brings us happiness and joy, what it is that we need to do for ourselves to create a little bit more stability, safety, and security in our lives so that we're not constantly looking at other people to fill the voids that are our responsibility to fill within ourselves. The moon trining with Venus at this particular point is going to illuminate for us a lot of the inner workings, listening to our inner selves on what is working for us, what is not working for us, where we need to focus our energy in order to build, create, give birth to certain aspects that will help us feel a little bit safer, secure, more stable than what it is that we have been feeling. The moon will be bumping into Pluto, the great transformer. Now, the great transformer does a deep dive in our psyche because that is where most of our issues come from. If we are focused on the past, there's a high tendency that we lean into depression. If we are highly focused on the future, there's a high tendency that we lean into anxiety. The goal is to always stay present in your thoughts, present in your feelings, present in your current circumstances, and have control over the emotional and mental matrix grid within you in order to venture into what do I want? What am I currently unhappy with in the here and now? Possibly, if you are strong enough and analytical enough, dive into how did I get here? Where in my past did I make the choices that landed me in this particular situation that I'm unhappy with? And then you can push yourself just a tad bit into the future to say, what kind of situation would I like to be living in order to bring those elements back into the present moment and say, hey, what can I do in the here and now in order to align with that vision, with that dream, with that goal that makes me feel so good in my mind space? Now, Pluto, the great transformer, is trying to show us where it is that we got to take our power back, where it is that we got to step into a new place of authority in our lives by taking control over the aspects that many of us just leave up to the universe, leave up to our significant others, leave up to whoever in our realm we think should be stepping up in order to meet us halfway to fill the voids within ourselves that technically is our responsibility to fill within ourselves. Many of us are learning a very tough love life lesson right now that we've been looking outside of ourselves for happiness, for joy, for value, for worth. Now's the time to bring it in. We got to recognize where it is that we have failed ourselves by giving our power away to outside external forces, where it is that we got to reel it in, stand in our power, and do what we have to do within ourselves to, again, fill up those cups to a full level before we start offering those cups to everyone else. The sun and Uranus are going to come together in a way that would suggest that there's going to be a situation in our exterior realms that we do not have control with, that will disrupt our plans, that will throw us off course, that may even throw us in an emotional tizzy if we don't have control over recognizing from the observer mind frame that things are happening for us instead of happening to us. We have to keep in mind that the sun is the brightest light illuminating for us what it is that we have to decide upon, what it is that we have to choose. Again, we're in Gemini energy, very extreme, very polarized, very dualistic. We have to experience the extremes in order for us to debate it out, to find a comfy middle ground. The sun in Gemini, Uranian energy, which is a shock to the system, an aha moment, if you will, a monkey wrench being thrown into our plans, things just not going the way that we expected. The whole rule of thumb here is to expect the unexpected. But this particular situation might have a negative impact on our anxiety, on our central nervous system, because quite frankly, air on air is a lot to do with the central nervous system. We have a lot of mental processing going on that we're still not able to fully understand. And the sun and Uranus at this particular time coming together with an external activation and trigger, disrupting what it is that we thought our day was going to do, will expose us to an opportunity to choose one thing over the other. And hopefully we're choosing to respond instead of react And hopefully we're going to take a step back, act as the observer, not let our control issues get in the way, because many of us, the minute that our day does not go the way that we had awoken planned for it to go, we get in a tizzy, we start spiraling. Keep in mind, this whole Gemini season is choice points, is options, is opportunities to evolve, adopting a new mindset, new response point, or to revolve, stick into the same old reactive patterns and behaviors that our ego has gotten awfully comfortable with. The sun is going to bump into Jupiter. Jupiter magnifies whatever it is that's going on, especially our emotions. But Jupiter is here to show us where it is that this is an opportunity for growth. He is turning the volume all the way up on our mental plane, on our want, need, and desire to make some change, to want to learn, to improve. And whatever situation kind of presents itself as a disruption or as an unexpected quote unquote opportunity for growth, you want to take a pause and really see where it is that the universe has scripted this event in order to test you. Many of us have kind of claimed that we have bossed up, that we have evolved, that we have jumped into new contracts, new timelines. It's these types of situations that are being offered to you to actually show whether or not you can walk the walk and talk the talk. Have you truly evolved? Have you truly learned from the past? Have you truly recognized where situations have been divinely scripted to push you out of your comfort zone and into a new realm of responding instead of reacting? Now, the sun and Jupiter coming together is a big light. It's a huge burn your eyes kind of light, but it's also putting us in a very interesting situation where we can kind of muster up a brand new courage and bravery, a brand new boldness in order to kind of step up in the face of unexpected plans and disruptions and adversity and challenges and obstacles, and really kind of rise to that occasion and say, you know what, I see this for what it is. I'm going to choose the higher path. I'm going to choose the different territory. I'm going to choose a totally different response to what it is that I would normally have done in situations like this. I would highly suggest that you take this growth opportunity, this expansion point, if you will, and run with it. Show the universe, show yourself that you have changed, that you do have a new level of awareness, that you're willing to do the work, the conscious work, to recognize where our ego really wants to just pop off and respond in the old patterns, ways, and behaviors that honestly are going to keep us in a toxic cycle, and where it is that we're being offered a choice point to do better, to be bigger, to grow, to evolve, to expand, and in turn will be rewarded for that action, for passing that test, for rising to those occasions. But we do have the moon bumping into Chiron, the wounded healer. And we have the moon in Virgo, who is very over analytical, especially towards oneself, highly critical, very judgmental. We are picking apart our inner psyche, our thoughts, our feelings, in order to really get down to the nitty gritty on how it is that we're going to solve some of these issues. Now, Chiron, the wounded healer, yes, exposes our wounds, but also shows us the wisdom in how it is that we're going to heal them. This is another learning opportunity. Kind of, riding off the coattails of the earlier situation with the sun and Uranus and the sun and Jupiter. Now, what we know to be true is that the moon in Virgo is very grounded in the present moment. We want to take action after we intuitively feel like we're making the right choice. And we have it in the mental plane, Mercury, right? We have it in the mental plane, adding logic and practicality to certain plans, certain intentions, certain solutions, and then we're recognizing like, damn, this hurts. I recognize where my shadow self is peeking out and just wanting to keep me in these toxic behaviors, but we have the opportunity to overwrite the system, and we're going to, because we get a little bit of support with the moon trining Uranus. So this is a beautiful aspect because the moon in Virgo, Uranus and Taurus, that's earth on earth, right? So we're bringing things into manifestation. We're bringing things into creation. We are building new ways of responding, new ways of thinking, new ways of feeling. The Uranian energy likes to totally shift our perspective, shift our paradigm, open up our highest mental planes to new methods, new behaviors, new response patterns, making us more easily to change and to adapt to our current surroundings that, technically speaking, right now are being shook up in order to expose where the cracks are in the foundations of our day-to-day life, of our value system, of our worth system, of our routines, our relationships, our money matters, very much earth energy type of vibes. And we are able to emotionally gain a bigger, broader perspective, a vision of what is popping off in the present moment. We are able to project ourselves very, very quickly in the future to say, okay, this is the kind of vision, the dream, the goal that I want to be living. What can I do in this present moment in order to take control over my thoughts, over my emotions, over my patterns, behaviors, my responses to align with the vision and the dream that I currently am inspired to manifest and create? This is going to be a shift. This is going to be a great aha moment. This is going to be also a huge release, because this is the last aspect that takes place before the moon squares the sun. What do we know that happens when the moon squares the sun? Well, this creates our first quarter moon. The square is a tension point. Does it feel good? No. Is it supposed to feel good? No. We need to get in the boxing ring in order to be uncomfortable enough for us to actually make the change. The moon in Virgo has a tendency to want to kind of reflect on our emotions, our unconscious self, what has happened in the past, in order to bring it into the present moment, recognize where the problems are, recognize where it is that we have to heal certain parts of ourselves, while the sun, the great illuminator, shining a bright light on the two choices, the two paths, the two decisions, the two directions, because we're in Gemini season, what we have to battle out in our mental plane, Gemini energy, right? We have one foot in the past, one foot in the future. And what we're left with is, what can we do in the here and now in order to break free from the attachments that keep us circling, revolving around the old topics and themes, the old emotions, the old patterns, the old behaviors of our old selves, and the qualities and characteristics that we have to embody in order to be different, in order to choose different, in order to respond in a different way, to think differently, to open up our heart space, open up our mind space to something new. That is very much the futuristic realm of who it is that we have to become in order to break free from our past. And what we're left with, again, is this present moment, seeing the overlap, recognizing what it is that is holding us back, what it is that we're not yet jumped into, and what it is that we actually have power and control in the here and now, in our mental plane, in our heart space, in our physical response and behaviors, and what we need to choose from here if we either, hopefully you want to grow, hopefully you want to expand, hopefully you want to be better, hopefully you want to improve, which means that you got to do the deep dive in your psyche, in your heart space, to disconnect with the old past patterns and behaviors in order to free yourself up in this present moment, to focus on the new qualities and characteristics that we got to get to learning in order for us to be able to bridge the gap from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. Now, here's where things get semi-frustrating. We have Mars, who is the ruler of our physical energy, our drive, our passion, even our anger, in Aries, which is his place of power, which is a fire energy. We just want to take action now and worry about the consequences later, which we don't want to do, because that will essentially create a lot of drama, create a mess that we don't want to have to clean up. We have Mars in his place of power, semi-squaring Saturn, who is now retrograde in Aquarius, reflecting over the last 12 months of where it is that we've been tested, where it is that we had to boss up, where it is that maybe we failed to boss up, to new roles and responsibilities that our new karmic contracts are requiring us to boss up into in order for us to actually move on. Now, this particular aspect is going to be frustrating because we're seeing challenges, we're seeing blockages, we're seeing the brick wall, and the fire energy coming from Mars and Aries is saying, you know what? Just ram it. Keep ramming it. Rewind and then fast forward. Keep ramming it. Eventually, banging our head off the wall, we will bang this wall down. What Saturn is over here saying is, look at this fool, continuing to ram this wall, not realizing that head is going to crack open long before the wall is even going to shake. What we need to understand right now is we have to slow down when we face obstacles, when we face challenges. This is not an opportunity for us to be gifted with a green light go to say, okay, well, just ram harder, just push harder, just continue to push yourself forward and get through these obstacles. Now is a time where you have to listen to your gut, and your gut is saying, you know what, let's slow down for a second. Let's see what this obstacle is presenting to us, what this challenge is trying to tell us, what this particular roadblock is trying to show us. Maybe there's a detour. Maybe we can get to our end vision, our end goal in a faster way with a lot less friction if we just stop fixating on taking the particular path that our heart and head had initially set out on. We have to be patient. This, again, is not a sign or a symbol to ram the wall harder. This is a time for you to say, you know what? As much as I want the end goal, as much as I want to rise to the occasion of the challenges, the obstacles that I'm currently facing, I have to take a hint, I have to take a clue, and I'm going to step back for 2 seconds to see what new path, what new information, what new details can come into my higher mind, my intuition, my heart space, to see maybe if there's a better way for me to get to where it is that I want to be. Now, Mars is going to bump into Pluto in a very positive way, supporting us in this particular, what are these challenges trying to show us type of deal. And what we're doing right now is we're showing up to see where it is that maybe our path, our plans need a little bit more thought, need a little bit more plan, need a little bit more calculated strategy. Okay, we have Pluto, the great transformer, doing a deep dive in our psyche, right? This is a deep dive for us to have a pause, for us to stop, jamming our foot on that gas, ramming up against this wall before, we're a crash test dummy in all the wrong ways. And for us to just put the car in park and say, okay, is this the only way to get to my end goal? Is this the only way to bring my dream to life? Is this the only way that I'm going to bring my vision into manifestation? Because the thought process, we're in Gemini season again, where the thought process that we're currently in, we're a little bit fixated. Mercury, again, just coming out of retrograde, still kind of sleepy at the wheel in Taurus energy, so we're fixated. We got our blinders on, which although can be a great thing for focus and intent, is also a bad thing because we don't see any other opportunities or possibilities that's going on outside of our peripheral, right? So this is a pause from the universe to say, maybe we should put the car in park and consult our map, Google Earth it to see if there's another way that we can actually get to our destination without having to trash our car, trying to drive through all of these walls that are being presented to us in the middle of our path. We're going to wrap the day up with the moon, trining the true node. This is a beautiful sign, people, beautiful sign. The true node is our soul's destiny point. It's where it is our objective, where it is that we want to be. This tells us that when we take the hint from the cosmos, when we pause, when we stop ramming the wall, and we just put the car in park to see what other paths that we could possibly take that will still get us at our destination point, we come up with something real good. Emotionally speaking, mentally speaking, something clicks. There's an aha moment. Suddenly we realize, because again, the Virgo moon is very analytical, picking apart the details, really just kind of diving into all the smaller little options and opportunities that we may have missed. This is an aha moment. This is like yes, there is an easier path. Yes, there is a detour. Yes, I can still get my outcome, and it's not going to be as much energy. It's not going to be as costly. It's not going to take as much time. Emotionally, we are in alignment. Emotionally, we are on track. Mentally, we are in agreement with our heart space. And you know what happens when our heart and our head agrees? It means that we can now activate our physical bodies to go ahead, to boss up, to take an action and make a move, even if it's a baby step, on the right path, in the right direction, that now we have a validation point in our intuition and in our headspace. We know that it feels right, it feels good, so it's gotta be true.